Good morning, art buddies, and welcome to Bricolage with Paint Girly. This is take 2 or part 2 of X-ray flower painting. I was inspired by a gal by the name of OLGA KOELSCH. I will put her information, her channel, in my description box for this video. And the first video, I attempted to do the X-ray painting technique, but one thing I didn't pick up on, I'm embarrassed to say, was really the X-ray part. Well, first let me say instead of drawing my own picture, my own flower on a piece of 140-pound, 300-gram hot press watercolor paper, I decided to use a picture from my Colorage Wild coloring books by Emmanuel Cologne. So it's paper. It doesn't say it's watercolor paper, but it's heavy. It feels like watercolor paper, and rather than mess around with drawing my own flower, this is just what I chose to do. And I think it's working pretty well, except I missed a very important component of the whole X-ray technique. I just realized I didn't bring my phone. So if you get a chance, Google X-ray flower images, and you'll see what they look like. They're just absolutely beautiful. So this gal, Olga, she is, I think, a botanical painter, and she does the X-ray style, and she's very detailed, and it's just really a cool look. So I just started on my own, just putting in the color, and then I decided I wanted to do one for a recording, so I took another picture out of this one. They should be numbered, but I don't see where this one has a number on it. Maybe this is the first one of her. She's got like 7 or 8 Coleridge Wild coloring books, and they're really fabulous. So in the first video, if you haven't had a chance to watch that, or if you don't have the time to do that, what I was doing is showing you how she prepares and does her petals and how she paints the flowers and the outlining. But the part that I was missing was the X-ray part. See, now over here in this large flower, mostly, you can see I've just painted the petals and I've outlined it with a darker color paint. But over here, the light bulb went on, and you'll see that I've caught on to doing the actual X-ray part, where you see through the petals and you see the petals underneath. So that's the trick. That's really what you want to do. So I guess in order to catch us up, and maybe you don't, or you haven't watched the other video, let's do this little gal. Now today I have, as I did the other day, have my Kurtaki Gamby Tansy, I think that's how you say it, watercolor palette, which is here, and it's the Deco Art Colors. And then I pulled out my small Winsor Newton because I needed that darker pink color. So let's see what my options are. Let's do a different color. So you want to have 2 brushes. Olga suggests synthetic because that's what she likes to use. But you really want to pick out a size brush that you are comfortable with and that works with the size image that you are working with. Perhaps you've drawn your own flower. If you are drawing your own flower, or even picking up a flower image off the internet and then tracing it onto your watercolor paper, make sure you indicate or give yourself the line that follows underneath So you have that guide. I think what I want to do is see this gal's a little different. So maybe I'll do blue because I have blue there just to be different than the first one that I tried. And then you want a smaller brush where you can get a nice point because you're going to be doing some outlining. Now, Olga used a little bubble mixing dish, which looks like I put that aside. Here they are. Now, she mixed up a lot of paint, but the flower that we were working on, she offers a free painting class. So the flower that we were working on was really large. It was a pansy. So she mixed up a lot of color. And then, of course, you want to have some paper towel. That's actually very, very important. Let me get another piece of paper towel. I just thought using the color book image would be easier, save me some time, and probably look a little better than me drawing my own. But at some point, I probably am gonna. I'm working on tulips. So far, I'm not happy with my drawing. So I don't think because this flower is so small that I really need to mix a whole lot of paint. So I'm just going to see what happens. All right, now Olga says she mostly uses 2 different size brushes because she likes to keep them separate as far as their deeper color and then her lighter kind of she didn't call it a wash, I think she called it a glaze, which is probably a watercolor painting term, which I'm not a watercolorist, so this is all new to me. I'm just trying it because I thought it looked so pretty. All right, so I'm going to choose blues this time. So I'm going to take my lighter blue. Like I said, I don't want, I think my screen may be jumping because there's so much white. All right, now I have a little tester. See, I was working on tulips. I think I want it a little lighter than that, so let's add some more water. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start glazing in this color. Now, Olga decided what order she was going to do her petals in. So I don't want this video to be terribly long. So I'm going to say this is going to be petal number 1, 2, and 3. Let's do it that way. So I'm just going to, now, because this isn't watercolor paper, I'm not watering it. I'm not wetting my paint area first. That's what she recommends that you, and I tried a sample on my other color book page, and it really didn't seem to make a difference. So I'm not going to wet this down. But if you watch her videos, or if you get a chance to attend one of her painting classes that she does, you'll see. She'll tell you. So I'm just glazing this color in. Now what I want to make sure I'm going to do here is see this back petal is going to be behind here too, right? So I need to color in and paint in this whole area. You're going to need a heat tool or a hair dryer. See, so in my mind's eye, I'm seeing that this petal comes behind these other petals, right like that. Now I want to try this. I don't think there's blue tiger lilies, but there is today. So I hope you can see just real faint a blue paint. Now I'm going to go into this darker blue color, and I'm just going to use the very tip of my watercolor brush. Oh, I still got some pink in there. Let's clean that out really well. Now I'm not I didn't spray or treat my palette first because I want to be able to control my paint. I don't want it to be, didn't want it to be real soupy. And I'm just putting a little bit of water on the very tippy tip of my brush. Now I'm going to come back in and I'm going to outline the edge of my flower. And I'm going to go right over that petal and pretend I have X-ray vision. Now, if you look at the X-ray flowers you'll find online, the contrast to the edge of the flower is quite strong. So then she comes back in and she kind of cleans up her edges. She tries to make that all as smooth and brings it, kind of blends it in. If my memory is serving me properly. Now I think I want that outline color to be a little deeper. So this is where I'm going to pull in my Winsor Newton. But you use the colors you have available and the watercolor paints that you work with. Yeah, that's a nice strong color. Okay, so let's come back over that line. Very little pressure, gives you a thinner line. OLGA shares that if you look at a flower, a real flower, the veining and the lines, I got a little crooked there, got a little thicker as you get down towards the center of the flower. Now I'm also going to come in here and add a little bit of this darker color where using the color book page, I'm using the lines and the details that Emmanuel Cologne has given us. Now, unless you use some kind of special product, watercolors, once they dry and you re-wet them, they move again. Now I'm going to outline right where those flowers meet too. I think the ticket, even with especially with this kind of thing or with coloring in a color book. Contrast is your friend. You want really distinct contrast. And I'm just coming back in and dragging out some of those detail lines. Now, please keep in mind, I am not an expert. I'm a self-taught artisan, first of all, and this X-ray painting is a new thing for me. And I think what you really want to do is not have a terribly distinct line. So I'm just trying to soften up that edge. Very little, very little water on my brush. Don't be afraid to blot, you know, if you need to. Now, I really want to deepen this line here. I just added some more color. I spilled something sticky. What the heck could that be on my color book page? I don't know what that was. All right, let's have a look. So not too bad. So now I'm going to go ahead and dry that. And then I'm going to move on to this petal number 2. So you know what I probably should do this other petal. So now I'm going to come back into my lighter blue. And I'm going to paint in my petal number 2. I don't know if I called this number 2 originally or not. I should have. And then I'm going to paint where I imagine that petal is laying behind those other petals. I need maybe a little more color here. My paper's buckling a little bit, and I'm sure you're going to have that with your watercolor paper too. All right, so now I'm going to go back in, and I think I'm just going to go with this darker. Nope, that is incorrect, so I'm going to take that out. I want that line to come around so I can see where that petal is behind. That's what I want. Now, like I said, if you draw it yourself, or if you're tracing it from a pattern, you want to make sure you have those lines indicated so you know where to put them. Now I'm going to add my darker color in here for my detail and my shadowing link. I'm going to use very little water on my brush. Now you will be able to find, I'm sure, lots of artists on YouTube that know what they're doing to show you how to do this technique. But I just thought if you're like me and you like to try stuff and you want to try this, it might be fun to see somebody who doesn't know what they're doing try it. All right, I'm just fiddling around here with my outline line. I'm going to blot some of that away. It's better if I twirl my work surface. I'm just trying to blend this. Again, I'm adding more pigment here at the tip where the artist has given us details of the petal to follow along. See how it's starting to look see-through, where you can see through, but you can see the darker lines. I'm going to try that. See, I can see here where I'm really getting a distinct line there I don't want. So I'm just using a really damp brush. I'm trying to ease that up, kind of blend it in. It looks a little better. Last petal here for our demonstration. So it's the last petal. And I'm starting to get really particular about this line. This line's not blended in very well either. Okay, so now I'm coming back in. Oops, I want my other brush. A little larger, and I'm gonna, like I said, she used the term glaze. So I'm gonna glaze in that paint right over top. Not a super wet brush. It's very warm here today. Okay, now I'm going to keep that and dry it. Ooh, very hot. All right, now I'm going to get my smaller brush and just wet the very tip of my brush and do the outline for this petal. I'm going to add a little extra up here. And then into the throat of the flower. I want to add some more pigment down in here. Not worried about those big those stamens or whatever they are. I'll address those later. All right, so now I just mostly have water on my brush. Not a whole lot, but I want to pull this paint and make the veins of the flowers, the petals. Do the tip of the petal. And then I'm going to go around and kind of blend out my edge. And don't be afraid to use your paper towel to blot out, what you don't like. Your paper towel is your friend. I need some more over here. Because this is the petal that I'm working on. All layers, right? Now this is the other petal. Just kind of deepening that a little bit. think it looks cool. It doesn't look like, what you see online. You will hear Olga say, practice, practice, practice. That's what's going to help you get better at it if you like this technique. So let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed, I would encourage you to do that. I'd love to have you come on board with my channel. Check out Olga and her technique of the X-ray painting. Let me know if you try it. I would love to know. Any questions? I'll be happy to get back to you. Don't forget, take time to be creative. And until next time, happy painting.